pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first, a couple of administrative items. We continue to offer virtual attendance on a remote attendance on a voluntary basis. If we have any planning board members who are attending remotely, then votes will be by roll call. If you are attending remotely, you may do so either via your smart device or computer by visiting www.zoom.us in your browser. Enter meeting ID 754-663-912. You may also call in by phone for audio only. Phone number is 646-558-8656. Same meeting ID, 754-663-912. If you have technical difficulty with any of this, please call 603-845-5585. If you're on the phone and you want to be recognized to speak, please hit *9 to raise your hand, and then once recognized, hit *6 to unmute yourself. At this point, I will introduce the members and staff who are present tonight. To my far right are our alternates, Mr. Mousy and Mr. Wood, our planning director, Ms. Robidoux.
Good evening.
Our planning clerk, Ms. Wilson. Regular member, Mr. Healy.
Good evening.
Member, Mr. Minervini.
Good evening.
Vice Chair, Mr. O'Connor.
Good evening.
My far left is our Director of Community Access Media, Mr. Owen.
Good evening.
Mr. Venture, I'm sorry. And our reasonably new Engineering Department Coordinator, Mr. Fazioli.
Good evening.
Mr. Churchello, who is the Town Administrator's representative.
Good evening.
And Mr. Pelletier, regular member.
Good evening.
We are missing Mr. Chase, who's the Town Council Liaison. We cannot seat anyone for him. We are missing Mr. Fishman, so I would ask Mr. Mousy to sit for Mr. Fishman. We are also missing our secretary, Mr. Malaby. I will ask Mr. Wood to sit for Mr. Malaby. And I will impose on my good friend, Mr. Healy, if he would be Secretary Pro Tem.
Yes.
Thank you. So first item on the agenda is escrow. I didn't see any escrow in our package, so next would be approval of minutes. We have before us the minutes of December 17th. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Are there any errors or omissions?
Mr. Chair, not seeing anyone coming forward, then I move to accept the minutes of December the 17th, 2025, as written.
Okay. Moved by
Second.
O'Connor.
Second.
Seconded by Pelletier to approve as written. Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Minervini?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Churchello?
Yes.
Mr. Pelletier? Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. We have correspondence this evening.
Yes, so we have one piece of correspondence from the planning director, Elizabeth Robidoux, regarding proposed changes to the CBD zoning district.
So I recommend we all read that. We can decide what we got to do. We probably want to have a workshop to look at options if it becomes repetitive that we have to grant variances because of issues in the zoning. We typically review that. I think the last time we did that, we had, I think that was the 16 Franklin Street parcel. We ended up moving that from the TBOD back into the CBD rather than changing the requirements of the district. So in this case, we could either change the requirements or we could move some of these parcels from CBD back into high-density residential. Because apparently some of these parcels are not currently actively being developed for business uses. So we have those two and probably some other options available to make this smoother. So is there any objection to scheduling a workshop on this for the next available date? No. Okay, I don't hear any objection, so we will so schedule.
Thank you. So it'll be the 21st.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
And other business? Do we have other business before us? No? Planning Director, Chairman updates?
So thank you for scheduling the workshop for the 21st for the CBD changes. We'll try and have some examples of what redevelopment might look on some of those lots, so you can kind of get a picture of, some of the problems we've been running into to make it a little bit more clear. For the 21st itself, we have no plans scheduled for public hearing. There will be a bunch of escrows, and so it'll be a good night to do that workshop.
And we've already passed the submission date for that?
We have.
Okay. Excellent. I don't have anything, other than the general court is back in session. And so some of us are going to be up there at hearings on election law and planning and zoning law.
Yes.
Yay!
The fun begins again.
Fun begins.
Oh, God, yes.
Well, over in the AG's building, is that where we're going to meet?
No, it's down about a mile and a half from the State House. It's a separate building
So
altogether.
is it the archives?
Not even the archives. It's,
The other place we,
I know the address, it's online.
okay,
Yep.
They're doing repairs to the LOB, so.
okay. I thought we were moving to the building where the AG was, because we had some sessions there before. but-
that's almost
I
a
think it
parking
is.
lot now.
Is it?
Yeah,
I think it's the
there'll be
AG
3 or 4
building.
story parking lot.
I think it is the AG building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's online. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right.
Things going.
Our next item is public hearing. We have a public hearing for Sharon L. Butterfield Revocable Trust, parcel ID 05069 18 Cemetery Road.
Okay, the proposal is to subdivide 18 Cemetery Road into 4 single-family home lots. There was an existing home on the lot which has since been removed. The property is located in the LMDR zone, which requires a minimum of 2 acres per lot and 150 feet of frontage. The lots all front on Cemetery Road, which is a town-approved and maintained roadway. 2 of the lots are proposed to have driveway access off the discontinued portion of Humphrey Road. This portion of Humphrey was discontinued by the town, and the DPW record said 1817. Other homes access their property from this portion of Humphrey Road. The deed for 39 Humphrey references the discontinued road and has a clause that the road must remain open at all times. And the deed for 49 Humphrey references a subdivision plan that's on record at the registry. And that plan, the board granted a waiver to allow a driveway that does not access the lot through its own frontage. 49 Humphrey has frontage on Island Pond and the discontinued portion of Humphrey. For proposed lots, map 5, lot 69-2 and 3, a waiver would need to be granted to allow a driveway access that is not through the legal frontage of Cemetery Road. Additionally, town council would need to approve the issuance of a building permit on those lots pursuant to RSA 674-41-1C. The landowners will also need to file a waiver of municipal liability at the Registry of Deeds, but those 2 actions are part of the building permit process, not the purview of the board. The proposed lots will be serviced by private well and septic. Drainage is handled with roof drains and rain gardens to allow the water to be treated and infiltrated prior to discharge into the groundwater or wetlands. Highway safety review was not required. The applicant did visit the Conservation Commission on November 17th of '25. The commission did not feel a need to conduct a site walk of this parcel, and all of the TRC comments were addressed. Several abutters have raised concerns about the subdivision. You have a copy of an email from Hannah Rutter Martin, who lives at 14 Cemetery. In summary, her concerns, the maintenance of the discontinued roadway, which right now is being maintained by the property owners living and gaining access from that road. She had concerns about wetlands, but Conservation did review that, and invasives. There is a note 8 on sheet 1, which discusses how invasives would be proposed to be handled. Mr. Woznia, 49 Humphrey Road, came into the office and he was concerned with drainage and the effects of that on the discontinued portion of the roadway. DPW is recommending a site walk. As the shared maintenance for the discontinued road coupled with the drainage concerns from abutters are not yet clearly addressed. The engineers on the project are very prepared to discuss the, existing drainage and future drainage. I would recommend an additional condition of approval that a formal common access and maintenance agreement be drafted and recorded to protect the interests of the 5 lots that would be utilizing this access if the subdivision is approved. The Harpers also sent correspondence late today and expressed concern with the drainage coming off the subject property, stating it has adversely affected the discontinued road. Waivers on the application this time would be driveway access through the lot's own frontage and monumentation, and Brent will speak to that. State subdivision and local driveway permits are required. My recommendation would be review the plan for completeness, determine regional impact, and review the waiver requests. Attorney Cronin is here, and Brent is here from Granite Engineering.
Okay, so on the matter of jurisdiction, what is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept jurisdiction of the 4-lot subdivision plan before the board for Sharon L. Buckdale, trustee, PID 05069, 18 Cemetery Road.
Second.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Pelletier to accept jurisdiction. Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Munivini?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Chiricello?
Yes.
Mr. Pelletier?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. On the matter of regional impact, we don't have Mr. Chase with us to start, so someone else will have to start that ball rolling. Who would like to make a motion?
Mr. Ch- Oh.
4-lot subdivision, I don't see a boundary.
Yeah, you need to read the motion as it's suggested, and then we'll vote up or down.
Have that?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, pursuant to RSA 36:56, the board finds the proposal as presented at this time meets the definition of a development of regional impact.
Okay? Any
Second.
questions on that? Who's the second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Mr. Pelletier actually had his hand up
Okay.
first. And we'll start off with Mr. Healy.
No, this development is in the middle of town with not bordering another community, so no regional impact.
Mr. Minervini?
No, for the same reasons.
Mr. O'Connor?
I will concur with the group here.
Mr. Mousy?
No regional impact.
Mr. Chiricello?
No, for the same reasons stated.
Mr. Pelletier?
No, for the same reasons.
Mr. Wood?
No, for the reasons stated.
And Chair will vote no for the same reasons. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Chiricello to open the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Public hearing is open. Gentlemen, would you please give us your executive summary?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Cronin. As always, I thank Ms. Robideau for her comprehensive review, and I'll try not to repeat what she stated, as well as her assistance in the preliminary process to get the matter before you this evening. I believe this is a pretty straightforward subdivision. When you look at the lot, you will see it's up in the northwest corner. You can see the old drive there. There used to be a home at that particular site that's since been raised, but that was an old agricultural piece of property. This goal here is to create 4 lots. When you look at, I think, the feature that may be a little bit unique, and shouldn't say unique because the existing homeowners that are on Humphrey Extension all share the same benefit of a waiver for access on the Class 6 road. The 2 lots there that have the wetlands in the corner, the access is called out on Humphrey Road Extension, for which a waiver will be required. At least until July it will be required. You may have some legislators in the group and know in the last session that they adopted a law that will no longer require a waiver for putting driveways and lots entirely on Class 6 roads. But since it's not July yet, we would need that waiver for those particular driveways. For the legislators in the group, if there are some, also when you look at this design, it meets the criteria. It's been vetted by VHB. The applicant paid its appropriate fee. They've looked at it. They've looked at the drainage, and according to them, it meets the regulations. But there's a bill in the last session that many of you may know that was to address the housing shortage. And if any of you have been in the housing market or have had children that have been in it, scarcity of housing. A lot of that's been, I think, exacerbated by people with low interest rates that are not moving. So there's a lot of competition for houses, and there was a bill to reduce acreage to half acres, regardless of what a town zoning ordinance would say. I think that was sent to a conference or a study committee, and there's some reports that that may resurface again this session. Whether that ever passes, who knows, but that's not the intent here. But it just rings the bell of be careful what you wish for in terms of the application to this property. There's an abundance of land. Brett and his team, are some of the best in the state. They looked at it. They worked with the folks in VHB, and they got it to a place that can certainly handle 4 different lots. In terms of the abutters, and it's something that we see all the time, particularly when you have a 12-acre lot that's been a meadow and created great vistas and privacy and opportunities for recreation. When it gets developed and there's a change, certainly if I lived there, I would probably be bummed as well and wish that it wouldn't. But like in all of these cases, I recommended to Mr. and Mrs. Butterfield that before they put this on the market, and I will state for the record, there's been a lot of interest in these lots even before it's hit the market, that they give an opportunity to all of the abutters, if they want one, some, or all of the lots, that they have a first shot at it if that's something that they're interested in. In terms of the conditions of approval, we agree that it would be great to have a maintenance agreement, but we can't make that happen. Mr. Butterfield reached out to Ms. Harper to see if she would be willing to enter into such an agreement, or at least work on one. And the response was no, not until we see if this gets approved. And I don't know if the concept is if you don't have a maintenance agreement, maybe it will harder to get approved, but I think the common law is pretty clear. If you're on a road, you have a responsibility to pay your appropriate share, and certainly this applicant is willing to do that. We will make our best efforts to make that happen, but as far as a condition, I don't think we have the power to satisfy it. So I'd be a little bit concerned about that. Other than that, I think I'd turn it over to Brett and address any of the concerns that he may be aware of.
Thank you, Attorney Cronin. For the record, my name is Brent Cole with Granite Engineering. I'll try to touch on the things that Liz or John haven't so far. There are drainage concerns by the abutters. There is one drainage pipe down in this corner here, if you can all see my screen. This is a 12-acre parcel in Derry. It has wetlands on it, as with every 12-acre parcel in New Hampshire, probably. Wetlands means that it's a conveyance system for stormwater. And that's exactly what this property does. It's what this property has done in the past. It's been a field since, from my records, show back in 1960. It was the same exact field that it is today. So nothing that the property owner has done has changed any of the drainage patterns to increase or necessarily decrease the water off-site. However, with this new development, we are decreasing the stormwater leaving our site, and by approximately 30% from the stormwater that's leaving this property. So we are actually helping a stormwater perceived issue. This issue has only come up in the last few days, so it's not been raised to our clients' attention at all, but it has been brought up in the last few days. Like Mr. Cronin said, it is a private road. There is a culvert there that I believe was put in by this owner. Whether it was sized appropriately, I don't know, but it is a historic culvert, and that's exactly what it does, is it just moves stormwater. But to that point, we are reducing. We're trying to better the situation that is out there. In terms of waivers for tonight, there was 2 waivers that I believe were touched on. One, I believe I explained to this board last time I was here, and it's for the monumentation around the parent parcel. There are points along Cemetery, and there are new points being put along Humphrey. Some of those are existing pins. We'd like them to remain existing pins and not have to replace them with granite bounds, especially during the wintertime. There's a lot of stone wall out there as well, and granite bounds don't necessarily mesh with stone wall. You got to take out the stone wall to put a granite bound, then just to put a stone wall back. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But any new markings, we will make sure that they are pins, and any new markings that we can make granite bounds, we certainly will along the perimeter. The second waiver that we need, Mr. Cronin touched on, and that is the driveways coming off of access that is not technically our legal access on a Class 5 road. These properties all do have adequate access on Cemetery, so there's no variances required, but obviously they have a driveway that comes off of Humphrey. With that, I will hand it back to you, Mr. Chair. Our next step is Town Council.
I'll just make one comment. Yeah, before it comes back to you, there's a letter that was circulated later today, I believe from Ms. Harper, that makes some suggestion of nefarious activity about some type of pipe or drain. And I asked Dr. Butterfield to look into that. If you look up in the northwest corner where the driveway is, where the house, maybe between 15 and 20 years ago, there was a foundation drain that was put in there. And it was done under the supervision of Alan Cote, then the Director of Operations. I asked Dr. Butterfield to track him down today and confirm that that was done appropriately with his authority and supervision. And as you can see, it's about as remote as you can be from where the wetland is, and we see it's a non-issue. Thanks.
So I would like to just clarify from my understanding the history and the legal status of the section of Humphrey Road, whether it is a Class 6 road, whether it was discontinued by town meetings subject to gates and bars, or whether it was discontinued. I'm sure, Attorney Cronin, you know the difference between those two pieces of language. Is it indeed a private road which has been in common use by mutual agreement, or is it a Class 6 highway? Do you know?
I believe it's a discontinued Class 6 highway. There is some notation on some of the plans of gates and bars. I didn't do the underlying title. To me, in either case, a property owner that has frontage on that road would have a legal right to use it in common with others, regardless of its technical status.
Right. Ms. Robo, do you have any other historical information on the...
The DPW road record has it as discontinued, subject to gates and bars, 1817.
Okay. And so that's fine, because the town council can grant you that, and if after July you don't need that. So I just want to make sure that it's not a private piece of land, so that's fine. Other immediate questions before we go to the public?
Yeah, I just want to point out, you had mentioned the maintenance agreement, and I don't know if John O'Connor remembers, but that was a bill that I put in. It took me 3 years to get through. It's codified in law now. We don't need maintenance agreements. In the past, people used to have to go to all the neighbors and ask for a written maintenance agreement in between, but the bill that I submitted and it passed, it's going to be a while now, basically says, and you mentioned common law, so it references common law, but basically says that if you benefit from that roadway, you also have an obligation to maintain it. So no written maintenance agreement is needed anymore. Just to let you know.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
And so it is currently maintained by some private contractor?
My understanding is it's a loose agreement that the three owners that are out there cooperate, and they do different contributions at different times. My understanding, there was some material that was available from the town last year or the year before that was used, and one of the owners had equipment that was able to spread it. The surface, when I went out there probably a year ago, they were just finishing it. It was really nice, for the Class 6 roads that you see. It would be at the top of the list in terms of quality. So I don't think they have any formal agreement. Again, I think it's a good idea to have one if you can, but otherwise, everybody's responsible to pay their fair share.
So if a future owner comes into disagreement with that standing arrangement, is there only recourse to Superior Court?
Yeah, there's too many of those cases. You could make a living as a lawyer if you just wanted to do disputes over private roads. So, certainly there'd be an effort. I would expect that people would mediate it.
But the town does not have an obligation to accept the road in the absence of agreement of all of the butters to the road, right?
And where we see problems with this, I won't say more frequently than others, is you might have one owner that's at the far end of the road that says, I'm tired of compacted gravel, I'd like to pave it, and I want everyone to chip in 20%, and some owners say no. So you get to that position where an owner can make an improvement at their own expense, but they couldn't dictate it to the others if it wasn't reasonably necessary to handle the traffic.
You're making me relive 3 years of trying to get that bill through. So I heard all the arguments.
I'm giving
on
you
it.
headaches. So.
No, there was a lot of discussion on that.
And no one from the town has any issues with respect to the current level of maintenance of the road with respect to ambulance, fire, school bus, any of the other public services?
The only thing, I think one of the new bills mentioned something about on a private road, that if we allow a house to be built, that there's a waiver that has to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds saying that they understand that the town has no obligation. So there's risk involved. It may be an insurance issue down the road as well, but...
We've done that for years, and I think Ms. Robideau mentioned it. We're perfectly fine with that. I believe we've done it in Derry as well with a form that George used to use. We're amenable if you want to revise that form in any way, and we'll do whatever it is to coordinate to make sure it gets recorded or provide you the proof that it's been recorded.
Yeah.
Should we either read into the record or summarize the letters from abutters who are not here? Does anyone want to actually volunteer to read those letters?
There's two.
There's
There's one
two.
from Hannah Martin and one from the Harpers.
You can take turns.
I can read the one from the Harpers.
Okay, please.
Okay. Dear Miss Robidoux, my husband Paul J. Harper, MD, and I, Diane J. Harper, abutters to the Butterfield parcel 5069, wish to inform you and the planning board of our concerns regarding the 4-lot housing subdivision of this property. We have lived on Humphrey Road extension for over 40 years and feel it is valuable for you to have a short history of the water drainage problems this area has. As acknowledged by the town of Derry and residents of this area, there are widespread wetlands on either side of the lower half of Humphrey Road extension. The lower portion of the Butterfield property has periodically experienced extensive drainage, turning it into standing water almost to the road line, i.e. Cemetery Road. I remember walking my dog through there, squishing, when Pete Moore, the former owner, was still alive. That's many years ago. With every spring would come flooding across the dirt road. This was in spite of a large drainage pipe crossing under it, placed by Phil Wisconsin to help control water coming from the upper part of the Moore Butterfield parcel, the wetlands and pond across Humphrey Road extension. That water would end up in the lower portion of our land bordering Cemetery Road and Humphrey Road extension. Eventually, it would drain further down into West Running Brook. Years later, Mr. Moore had passed away, and the land is now owned by Sharon L. Butterfield, Revocable Trust. Pipes were placed both down the middle of the field and in the bottom in order to divert the water off the property in preparation to selling the land. Unfortunately, that diversion of water landed on the road and on our land. So now we have the unusual spring mud season with high typical flooding made much worse. The diverted water off the Butterfield Hill in Wetlands Pond combines with rainwater to literally flood the bottom of the dirt road, leaving deep ruts and leading to deep ditches along the Harper lower boundary line on the edge of Cemetery Road. This threatens to again undermine Cemetery Road. The town then comes in and fills said ditches with large rocks. The drain placed by the town at the corner of Cemetery Road and Humphrey Road extension at the Butterfield property is totally ineffective and frequently has standing water when raining. The water remains in the lower corner of our property. It is eminently reasonable to ask that diversionary water pipes placed on the Butterfield property be removed. This should alleviate the worst effects of the diversion. Following that, new studies of the wetlands and proposed drainage of the Butterfield property should be undertaken by the Butterfield Trust to mitigate negative effects on the butters and new homeowners. It is interesting to note that the various studies concerning wetlands and water table were done years after the placing of pipes and during a period of an extended New Hampshire statewide drought. We ask that further studies take into account where the Butterfield water goes as it drains out and what the effects are to the property and road usage. Thank you for your attention. Diane and Paul Harper, 39 Humphrey Road, Derry, New Hampshire. And I want to note that this came in Wednesday, January 7th, 2026 at 4:37 PM, which just hours before our meeting. So,
Anyone would like to read the other letter?
I can read the other one.
Thank you.
So this was an email from Hannah Rudder Martin, a butter to PID 05069, 4-lot subdivision dated January 6, 2026 to Elizabeth Robineau, town planner. Subject line, comments for discussion at planning board meeting on January 7th, 2026 for insertion into info packets for planning board members. I am the owner of lot number 570, which abuts PID 05069 on its entire north and east sides. With regret, I am unable to attend the planning board meeting on Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. However, I would like to present the following comments for consideration at the meeting. 1, driveways. I request that all driveways be entered from Cemetery Road, which road was established and is maintained by the town of Derry. The number of lots available for development should be limited to the number of lots that have 150 feet each of frontage on a town of Derry road. The proposal as presented has 2 driveways entering parcel number 05069 from Humphrey Road Extension, which was discontinued as a town road in 1917 and which is now classified as a Class 6 pathway. It is not maintained in any way by the town of Derry. It has been maintained, graded, and snowplowed by the labor and expense of the 3 families who now use the lane for passage to our property, and which usage has been approved by the town. We 3 families all have the required 100 feet of frontage on a town road. The passage of multiple construction equipment now and then the constant usage of the lane by 2 more families will degrade the lane. Who is going to repair it? Will the town of Derry upgrade it and reinstate it as a town of Derry road? Number 2, wetlands. Parcel 05069 has a pond, a swamp, in-the-ground drains, and other wet spots. Please involve the Town of Derry Conservation Commission in the wetlands review. Number 3, invasive species. Parcel 05069 has a substantial growth of oriental knotweed in 2 spots. A, in and around the abandoned driveway of the former house, and B, adjacent to the wetlands in the southwest corner of the field. Oriental knotweed can spread its roots up to 40 feet away from the from the parent plant. Please involve the Town of Derry Conservation Commission and a certified pesticide professional in control and eradication of this invasive weed before earth-moving work is done in these areas. Do not spread it around. Thank you for your consideration of and attention to these factors. Hannah Rudder Martin.
Alrighty, thank you very much. As is our practice, once we hear some commentary, we'll give you an opportunity to answer the questions or rebut any assertions, and then we'll get the next set of commentary. So do you have any comments on those 2 letters?
No, just to give some people assurances that in New Hampshire you can't increase the runoff, and if you do, they have a claim against you. So it's pretty well settled that you have to control your drainage through engineering, and you folks don't trust the applicant, as most towns don't. You require them to get a third-party review to confirm it, which has been done here. So I think, yeah, everybody's nervous about new construction, but when these things are built and landscaped and look nice, they should be a much better situation with water being controlled than just running free, flowing as it is now. Other than that, I have no other comment.
Well, thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience who has comments or questions on this application? Please come forward and use this mic so that the attorney and engineer can answer your questions as we go. Give your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Gary Wosina. I own a parcel off of Humphrey Road Extension. I have a bunch of small points, but a little history. I don't have any major disagreements. I know it's not an excessive use of the land, but the other abutters that sent the letters in, I would concur that the runoff is an issue. The side of Humphrey Road that abuts this parcel has no drainage because there's never been no access there. There is a field access, but no driveways, the slope of the land goes normally away from Humphrey Road Extension until the bottom, which is where Diane Harper was referencing the overflow. So to stick with the water issue, it's been a historical issue for many, many years since I was a child. The person referenced Phil Wosina, that's my dad, has since passed. So for years, we always maintained it. We dealt with what Mother Nature brought. Some years there was no issues, other years there was more. Since construction in Derry has increased, mainly Lane Road, which is above these parcels, my parcel, Mr. Butterfield's, and Hannah's, that runoff, I think, has increased coming down from Lane Road. So there is a pond on this parcel that would commonly accept the water in years past. To date, it doesn't. Now, that water that comes through the field dumps out at the lower end. It floods the lower end of Humphrey Extension out onto Cemetery Road, overflows the town culvert, and does wash out the side of Cemetery. Last spring was one of the worst we've ever had, and I believe that had to do with some of the improvements to the property, but unfortunately doesn't improve the runoff. So I will reiterate what Diane Harper said. There has been some drainage done to the property, which I'm not sure what year, maybe 3-5 years, within 5 years. That has exacerbated the problem, but it's not a problem every day. This summer was pretty dry. We didn't have any problems, but in the spring, last spring, we did. That was one of the reasons we had to bring in all the extra material to improve the road, which is in pretty good shape now. It's a little bit bumpy, but the potholes and ruts are gone. As far as the overall proposal, I guess I have the disadvantage of having lived there my whole life. So as Attorney Cronin said, it's a shock to my system. We were anticipating for many years being one house built for the applicant himself. Life changes, I understand that. I've known Mr. Butterfield since I was a child. We don't communicate very often, but I have seen him at the property. I've gone over and talked with him, but I didn't realize that this was coming until we got the certified letter just before Christmas. And with Christmas and New Year's and the holidays, somebody had made a reference that the letters just came in. So us as abutters, we were not aware, or I wasn't, I believe Hannah was, but I don't want to speak directly for everybody, but they did give me permission to speak on their behalf about the drainage and the road. So again, I'm not critiquing, I'm not saying that this is an overuse of the property, except the property is very wet. One of my other concerns is the very highest house off of Humphrey Road is very close to the Humphrey Road extension, and it looks as if its positioning is facing directly in towards my yard, which It's not, again, it's not his fault. Our house was built prior to my dad buying it. We bought the house in 1978. The former owner who built that house, it was the first house on the lane, there was no houses. Since they sold it to my dad, we've lived there since 1978. So that being said, it's as Attorney Cronin said, it's just a shock to us that, okay, now things are changing. I'm in construction. I understand progress. So I would have a couple of other maybe concerns about that upper house, if it could be positioned in a certain way that wouldn't be basically like you guys are looking at me right now into my side yard that has been private for 45 years. I know every applicant has a right to their property, and I'm not looking for you to deny use if it's a legal and accepted use. As far as the maintenance on the road, we have had a standing agreement amongst the owners. The only owner who had changed ownership was Dr. Harper. They moved in a few years after we did. There was an owner that moved in just after my dad bought the place. They moved, Dr. Harper moved in. So it's been a pretty consistent neighborhood, all the same people. Hannah's, I believe, in her 90s. Dr. Harper's, he's getting elderly as well. My mom it was too much property for her to handle, so I bought the property, and she lives in a 65-plus apartment unit. But she still visits and enjoys the property as well. So I don't know how much involved I should get into here. I don't know what other stages I'll have to voice my concerns with, maybe positioning of the house, different maybe plantings of evergreens. I know when Mr. Butterfield bought the property, he planted many buffer trees on Cemetery Road, but there's never been any up the road. And I appreciated that because I enjoy the view of the wildlife. We have many people in town that come and just park and look and view the deer and the turkeys, and it's a beautiful site. It's a beautiful property. The neighborhood around us is all large parcels. So even though this is big parcels for the zoning, any abutting property, our general neighborhood is 10-acre lots or bigger. So it's, we're kind of spoiled that way, and we pay our fair share to have peace and quiet, and we enjoy it. When I came in to talk with the town representatives, Elizabeth, we had a good conversation, and she addressed my concerns, asked me if I could come here today, as I did, and she made a good point that the neighbors might end up being my best friend, and I'm not opposed to that. I just don't want to create a house lot that then, for whatever reason, they don't like what I'm doing and I don't like what they're doing, and we're looking right at each other. So I know
there's a lot to unpack there. Let me make a couple stabs at it. With respect to orientation of the houses and who, spoils whose view, I'm not sure the planning board has much jurisdiction on that. Now, you may be able to come to a friendly agreement with the developer. Sometimes they can easily, at this stage, make some minor adjustments. Typically, when the planning board requests things like plantings, it is to buffer a nuisance or an impact. We typically do not get into preserving the rural nature of land dating back to the 60s. That's, again, just not within our jurisdiction. I think that the major issue that I hear that probably the planning board can get its teeth into is drainage. But I'd like to figure out, from what I've heard, is the drainage problem an existing pre-development condition in the land? I'm hearing that, it's been flooding, it's been doing this, it's been doing that. Is this a pre-existing condition? Are we asking the developer to solve a pre-existing condition, or are we suggesting that the development of these parcels itself will exacerbate the condition? Does anyone, engineering, planning, anyone have any suggestions on that?
Well, I'd like to have them talk about the rain gardens, because that may,
Well, we'll get to that. I'm just trying to figure out whether,
I haven't been out to the site. I know Mr. LaRue has, and I'm not sure if Sam has or not. So I couldn't personally say what the existing condition with regard to drainage is. I know that Brent has a lot of historical data about the lot and the drainage patterns there. But have you been out to the site, Sam?
I haven't been out to the site during heavy rainfall to observe any existing conditions, but it sounds like that's what's being described here as an existing condition issue.
I think that we can certainly ask the developer to assist in mitigating existing conditions, but I don't know if we can mandate that as a condition of approval, that they fix existing conditions, because our regulations say that the post-development runoff shall not exceed the pre-development runoff, and if the pre-development runoff is already a problem, that's a different kettle of fish, I think. So let's try to establish that. Is anyone, Mr. LaRue, do you have any historical data on this parcel? No. So we may have to do a site walk. We may have to figure this out.
I can say that their drainage study was prepared in December, so that would have been existing conditions, and the engineer is on record stating that their proposal will decrease the existing condition by 30-something%. But
Okay.
he could probably speak to that way better than I can.
Okay.
DPW did want to suggest that a site walk would be considered for this site due to all the concerns that were brought up kind of last minute after all of the TRC and review. We thought it would be useful to go out and do a site walk.
I guess my only comment is that's great if we can actually see some of the issues that are brought up here, and if this only happens during spring melt or spring rains and we can't see the quote-unquote flooding, that may be difficult for the planning board to draw any data from that. But I'm certainly willing to have a site walk, but if we could maximize the actual data, factual data we could extract from that, that would be helpful. Do you have any comments?
Sure, I think I can try to help at least answer some of the questions regarding the drainage. You can see that there's a wetland that splits the property. It comes from the north and it drains down towards the corner of Cemetery and Humphrey. This situation down here is what they're talking about. It's a private road. That wetland obviously continued at one point before Humphrey Road was ever built. And whenever you cross a wetland, you obviously have to build a culvert to allow the water to continue to go. So the water continues down through the Harper's land. In West Running Brook is couple hundred feet south of that, where everything collects. So the water does run north, south, and it does cross Humphrey, which is a private road, and it's a private culvert. I believe it was installed and has been maintained by the person that just spoke. And again, it's a private matter. They'll have more people involved out here to help replace and maintain that culvert over time. But it is a private road. We are decreasing with the rain gardens. We're decreasing the stormwater coming off of our property by 30%. So we are trying to do our fair share in helping this. But this has been a field, from what I can tell, back in the 1960s. There's been no change in the patterns, maybe something off-site, and our property is just a conduit of that water coming through. But I don't know what a site walk would actually do. We've got VHB, which is your peer review. You have two very competent engineers on staff that reviewed and gave comments on the drainage. I don't know what else you would actually see out there that you could actually remedy. It's a private matter, and they can work it through to increase that pipe, but that's a slippery slope too. I don't want to necessarily increase the flow going to other people's property. So it's a historic pipe that we're not increasing flow to.
Do you have any comments about the orientation of the homes and views?
You can see the driveway. I wish I had a little bit more off-site here, but you can see the driveway right here to the
Mr. Orsino.
Mr. Orsino, who spoke before. His Building is justified west of that driveway, so my proximity has it right around this area here. The building that we're proposing is literally a placeholder. These are fee simple lots. They will be sold to individuals that can put the property where they want it. Historically, or at least what I've witnessed, is someone doesn't want to build a house that's going to face someone else's house because they don't want to see it either. So I would imagine that they would justify the property to the west, which is kind of where we're showing it. But either way, it's not looking directly into there. The lot is across the street. I mean, they could justify it to the east and have it be closer to Wasina, but I don't believe people want to do that, especially when you're buying almost a 4-acre parcel. I can't imagine that you're going to put it in his backyard.
Okay, so the current applicant is simply subdividing the land and will be selling raw land to someone who wants to build.
Possibly, yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, yeah, our ability to put binding conditions on a future landowner are somewhat limited.
The driveway location is static, but the home can go anywhere in that building envelope.
Correct.
Right.
I just want to add, we're happy to put in, any of the marketing materials that, people could contact or consider orientation of the buildings, but somebody's going to want it the way that they want it. I don't want the board to lose sight of this. People going to buy these lots and will want safe travel, and we expect to provide it to them. If there was a water issue there that was problematic, we'd have a duty to disclose it and to deal with it, to fix it. We want it to be nice. We expect that these homes will be nice. Ordinarily, I wouldn't care about a site walk. I've been there, but, if I thought it would be helpful. But for us, time, I think when it was applied, the hope was it was a minor subdivision. You're in January now, you do a site walk, you look at April, appeal period, you're at June, and you miss the market, really, to market these lots. You'd like to be able to have someone be able to build them in the spring, or at least market them in the spring. So, and then at the end of the day, if there is water on a private road, I don't know what type of condition you can make or what type of direction you can make. I think it's up to those 5 owners to come up with a solution and fix it. So, and you people all understand it.
That's
Been doing this a long time
That's
as well.
the issue with private roads. Town can't really spend taxpayer dollars trying to fix an issue on a private road. That's a no-no. And you're right, it's going to be up to the neighbors that share that road, although you'll have 2 new people that are going to contribute to...
Should defray the expense, right, by 2/5
Right.
anyway.
Right.
So do you have any other new comments or questions that you haven't brought up?
I'd like to follow up on the water drainage. I touched on it, but there was never any need for a culvert, open ditch, or whatever you would call, along that side that abuts Mr. Butterfield's property. So there was large trees, and so the water coming from the top, even though the driveways show a 15-inch culvert under the driveway, it has nowhere to go. It won't make it all the way down to the catch basin that the town has at Cemetery Road, or the crossing that goes on to Dr. Harper's land. So that's a concern. And I've read drawings for my whole career, but not the detailed drainage drawings. So I can't tell by the drawings that were shown to me or that are online what the proposal is for along that side. And I'm not trying to say that they shouldn't build there, but they are building there, or they want to build there. So the driveway is impervious, even though they're going to have a water catch system in the gutters of the house. That's not going to be soaking into the soil as it did for the last 40 years. It's going to exacerbate the water flowing eventually to the pond and then out onto Humphrey Road Extension, which I don't know the legal terms. I know it's a Class 6 discontinued, but it is still owned by the town. It's not a private road. We don't own it. We maintain it. So it's like,
So
that's not
let me
really the best
try to
of
get
both
to closure here, because I think we're somewhat going around in circles. The planning board can mitigate lawful impacts, but they have to be factual and they have to be documented. We won't mitigate theoretical, hypothetical, speculative impacts about what might happen with water. The engineers have already said that they have designed it so it will reduce the off-site flow, and the attorney has indicated that if it doesn't, then there are actions that can be taken. I don't know what the planning board can do about that at this point. With regard to what happened to the land, 5, 6, 10, 1,500 years ago, that's really not before us tonight. If someone put in a culvert where they shouldn't have historically, we can't fix that at the burden of the current applicant.
So I'm not trying to say whether they put a culvert or something where it shouldn't have, but by putting the pipes to get the water to run quicker through the land, fills the pond, floods the road, floods Diane Harbor. That's just what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say hypotheticals, and I'm not trying to say he did anything he shouldn't do.
So what he's talking about is called agricultural drainage. There has been agricultural drainage on this property because it was put in back in the 70s. What he's referencing is the replacement of that agricultural drainage, which is just fields drainage. Mrs. Martin has the same agricultural drainage on her field to the east of this. It's very common in New Hampshire. It allows the field to dry out, stay dry, create good material and stuff like that. So what was done was replacing, it's called agricultural tiles. And there's just pipe that's laid in there like a French drain, and it allows the fields to stay dry and be usable. That has been historical. Nothing has changed since the 1960s, and is common with any of the fields. There's always been a wetland here. The agriculture drainage is not creating that wetland. The property remains a conveyance system down to West Running Brook. And whether or not there was a culvert there or not, there should have been when the Humphrey Road got put in. Because as with any crossing of any wetland, there needs to be some sort of conveyance system to get the water under the road.
So is there any plan to correct the water from flowing off so quickly? The bottom line is it just comes off the property so quick, washes out the road. So is that the road? Is that our problem because we use the road and maintain it? Or should we try to catch it before it crosses the road and put it into the town culvert? And I'm not looking for the town to spend extra money, but if that culvert doesn't handle the water, it shouldn't it? I mean, shouldn't that, there is a town culvert, it's listed on the plan, on the side where the water's coming from.
So this problem sounds like it exists now, and it's not going to be generated by the 4 houses, which are engineered with rain gardens and protection and everything else. If there's a situation that's pre-existed the building of the houses, that would be up to the 5 property owners to put their heads together and come up with a solution. In that common law piece, if one or less than all of the owners is responsible for a problem with the road, that person bears the burden of fixing it. So for instance, if I'm one of the 5 and I drive a heavy truck there and wash a lot of it out, I can't call on my 4 neighbors to fix that. That's on me. But if this is a pre-existing situation that's been there naturally, which the evidence all shows that it has, and it doesn't work, I think, as I said earlier, in these situations, people fear the worst. And when homes get built and they get landscaped, people take pride in their new homes generally, and they do a nice job keeping them up. People don't want flooding or they don't want washouts. And if there is, they're going to put their heads together and fix it.
Okay. Anything else that's new?
I have one thing to add. Regarding the roadside swale that he had mentioned on page 3, if you could pull that up. So he had mentioned just questioning the water conveyance on those swales underneath the driveways. Just with regard to concerning if they would make it to their final destination, perhaps maybe a note saying if there was any, just clearing as necessary to avoid any obstructions from the end of where you're proposing grading to make that swale to its final destination.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Any kind of clearing and grubbing, something like that.
Yep.
Just to make sure that it's addressed and looked at when the construction happens, to make sure someone's out there saying, oh yeah, okay, water can make it to the end.
Yeah, we'll clean up that little end there.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else new?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
so-
appreciate the time.
Anyone else in the audience who wants to talk about anything other than drainage? Because I think we've exhausted that subject tonight. Anyone else have comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, we're seeing none online.
Seeing none online. So it's back to the board. Do board members have comments or questions?
What I noticed just by looking at the topography is it's the land's going. I mean where Cemetery Road meets Humphrey, that's the low point. So it's always been that way. If you're looking at the topo, it's just it's coming from this way and it's going down. So as you mentioned, it's been that way for years, I would imagine. And I think the rain gardens will help because the location of the rain gardens are on each lot, right? You've got one for each new property, you've got a rain garden there. And you mentioned that should take 30% off of the system.
Right.
I don't know what else you can do other than, if the neighbors decided that they wanted to do something down there on that road, on that private road, then that'd be up to them.
Mr. Mousy, did you have a comment?
I do not.
Okay, anyone else have questions or comments? Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Moved by O'Connor, seconded by Pelletier to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Public hearing is closed. So we now move on to the issue of discussion of waivers. What is the board's pleasure on waivers?
Mr. Chair, you want to take one at a time?
Is there any objection to considering the waivers together, or do you want to? Hearing no objection, we can merge them and take them together.
Okay, then I'll start with it, Mr. Chair. Move to grant waiver from LDCR Section 170-25.A, paren 5, close paren, to allow two driveways to not access lots through their own frontage. After review of the waiver request, the board finds that the strict conformity to the regulations would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations. The next one. Move to grant waiver from LDCR Section 170-25, open paren G, close paren, to not install granite bonds in the location of existing partial limits in the right-of-way. After review of the waiver request, the board finds that specific circumstances relative to the plan or conditions of the land in such plan indicate that the waiver will properly carry out the spirit and intent of the regulations, and I so move.
Okay, moved by O'Connor,
Second.
seconded by Chiricello to grant the two waivers as requested. Any discussion? Mr. Healy,
Yes.
Mr. Minervini,
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Mousy,
Yes.
Mr. Chiricello.
Yes.
Mr. Pelletier.
Yes.
Mr. Wood.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Before we move on to findings of fact, which do involve discussions of runoff, is anyone on the board convinced that we ought to do a site walk at this time of year?
I don't feel that we need the site walk at all at this point in time, because the snowfall we've already got and the potential snowfall, and my guess is we wouldn't be able to get out there to take a real look at it till March, April anyway.
Yeah, and that seems like, well, it's certainly outside the 60-day clock, so
Sure is.
I don't think that's practical. Does anyone else disagree?
No, but I didn't want to change the subject, but I did have a question. Do we know about if it's in a 100-year flood zone or a 500-year flood zone? Near the building?
I believe it's outside. There should be a note on the plan with regard to the flood zone. I believe it's outside.
It's not in the zone?
Yeah, you go ahead and answer that question, please.
It's not in the 100-year flood zone.
So no effect to the building?
No.
Water, okay. I'm sorry, thank you. I wanted to ask that earlier.
All right, so Mr. O'Connor's indicated he does not think we'll learn anything this time of year from a site walk. We can't delay it until spring. Does anyone disagree with that? Or have other thoughts?
I think the other thing we're going to find in sidewalks would be the boundary lines.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to findings of fact then.
Okay, Mr. Chair. The board finds that the proposed plan provides safe and efficient vehicle access and the design and construction access is adequate to accommodate the anticipated volume of traffic proposed by the development. The board finds that the stormwater management as proposed is designed to control the post-development runoff so that it does not exceed pre-development runoff. The board finds erosion and sediment control provisions are adequate. Move to agree with the above note findings of fact.
It has been moved by O'Connor to make findings of fact. Seconded by Pelletier. Any discussion? Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Minervini?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Bowsy?
Yes.
Mr. Churchello? Mr. Pelletier?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. And on
On the approval?
the approval, was there an additional, you had an additional suggested condition?
Which it was with regard to a common access agreement, but Attorney Cronin said
Okay.
that's not something we really have jurisdiction over.
I think the only other one I heard was from Mr. Fazioli that we add a note to the plan about ongoing maintenance to keep any new under driveway culverts clear of debris or something to that effect.
It was with regard to extending the work along that roadside swale. It was just to ensure that the conveyance reaches its final destination. So yeah, it was just clearing and grubbing all along the roadway
So
there.
swale maintenance, not necessarily clearing debris that gets caught in the culverts.
Nothing with the culvert, no. It was just roadside swale. Yes, reestablishing
All right, so I
that.
misunderstood. So yeah, we should add a note that periodic clearing and grubbing of the swales to maintain flow should be added as a note on the plan.
Is that on town property?
No,
I just want to
No.
make sure.
but it mitigates potential impacts. And I don't think anyone wants,
No, my comment was more about just with the construction aspect right here. It's beyond the limits of what they're showing on their contours, where the contours end. Beyond that, if there's something that would block the water at the end of that contour to the west, that it would be cleared at the time of construction to make sure that the remainder of that swale is also clear as well. Because they're going to be establishing a new swale where we're seeing contours, but they're not showing anything to the left because theoretically there's already an existing swale. And my comment is to make sure that existing swale is reestablished, to make sure it is an existing swale that
make sure that
we see it
existing
as.
swale is continued during and after construction, and to make sure that there's no blockage at the end of the swale where it dumps out into what?
The rain garden.
Into the wetland.
Into the wetland, yes.
Into the wetland,
Just
okay.
reestablish the existing swale.
There was a lot of hand
in that
waving
area.
there.
I'm sorry, yes.
I was trying to visualize this.
Yeah.
We should have the condition for the council approval for the indemnity and waiver.
Oh, the typical waiver of municipal liability for...
That's part of the building permit process.
Okay.
Oh, so that's actually not our fish to fry, mister.
Yeah, so,
Sorry.
I mentioned it, I didn't want to think I was
Yeah.
trying to pass on it.
yeah,
so.
so
Elizabeth, that gets recorded in the registry of deeds?
it would and depending on when the building permits are applied for, after July 1st, they also have to prove that the lot's insurable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's...
Wording
Do
for...
we actually understand Mr. Falzioli's
So what I
note?
heard
It's reestablish existing swale along Humphrey Road extension.
Okay, that's nice and easy.
Yes. It's as simple as that.
That's perfect. That's way better than what I heard. Okay.
And I'll take that as a friendly amendment.
All right, so on the approval,
Yes, Mr. Chair. After review and deliberation of the four-lot subdivision application for PID 05069, Sharon Butterfield, trustee, the board finds the applicant has satisfied the general requirements of the Land Development Control Regulations, or in cases where the regulation cannot be met, has satisfied the waiver requirements. Therefore, the motion is to approve pursuant to RSA 676:4 Roman numeral I, completed application with the following conditions. Comply with the forthcoming VHB review letters.
Which we
So-
have. Okay, sorry. We have
so you
that.
can remove forthcoming.
Yeah.
We have them.
Oh, subject to the owner's signature, subject to on-site inspection by the town's engineer, establish escrow for the setting of bounds or certify the bounds have been set, establish appropriate escrow as required to complete the project, note approved waiver is on the plan, obtain written approval from the planning director / designee that the GIS submission is received and operable and complies with the LDCR section 170-24.c, subject to receipt of applicable state and local permits relating to the project. Conditions precedent shall be met within 6 months. Submission of the appropriate recording fees payable to the Rockingham County Registry of Deeds. This includes the $25 L-chip fee, recording fees for the Mylar, and the notice of decision. And I so move, Mr. Chair.
Will you add, and we add the,
What the other?
And then add,
Mr. Fazioli's
reestablish
note.
the existing swale along Humphrey Road extension.
Yep.
That's right.
Any discussion on that? Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Minamini?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Pelletier? He's our designated seconder tonight. Mr. Mousy?
Yes.
Mr. Churchill?
Yes.
Mr. Pelletier?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. So thank you very much.
Thank you
And
very
just
much.
Remind you, even though I know, we have 30-day waiting period for appeals before you might start digging.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Board.
All right, do we have anything? That was our only public hearing. Do we have any board member comments? Hearing none, I'll fish for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Churchill, seconded by Pelletier. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.
And Happy New Year, everybody. It starts.